she miss me and can't wait to kiss me. So I might be invited tonight.
You ain't gotta look for me.
I might be invited tonight. Yeah.
All right. Welcome to another Star Starter episode of the Chatterbox with yours truly, King Jacob. And we are in for a treat tonight with rising country superstar, the iconic man himself. And so I'm going to let him properly introduce himself to the audience at home.
What's going on, Jacob? Thanks so much for having me on, man. That's a very kind introduction, I must say. But my name is Holdyn Barder, and yeah, man, I'm excited to get into it. I'm a country artist here in Nashville from Philly, and yeah, man, thank you so much for having me on. This is great.
Yes, man. So we're gonna get started, and I'm truly excited, man. You know, cause even though that you're a rising country superstar, you are my rivalry in the NFC East. You know, I'm Cowboys Nation.
Oh man,
and you are Eagles Nation. So you know, we got a lot in common. You know what I mean? We got a lot in common, and you know, man, country music, man. I remember my grandfather with his leg crossed, you know, smoking his tobacco pipe, man, drinking his iced tea, listening to people like Conway Twitty, Hank Williams Jr., Hank Williams Sr., the Charlie Daniels Band. So, you know,
classics,
man. Yeah, man. So, you know, the country music always been in my regime for a long time. Cause I'm a country boy from Carolina. So, you know, always been around it. So, man, when people ask who is Holdyn Barder, what is that reply?
Oh man, I've never been asked that before, brother. Let's see. Who is Holdyn Barder? Holdyn Barder is a kid chasing a big dream. And you know, I always see myself as someone who is determined, isn't afraid to do big things, fearless, bold. And you know, man, who is Holdyn Barder? I think really is the question should be who am I not? I wear so many hats, and you know, it's you know, being an artist is just one of them. You know, at the end of the day, I just love working with people and connecting with people, and music's just one way I do that. So you know, I studied a bunch of stuff in school. I've, you know, done a bunch of different jobs here in Nashville. I'm sure we'll get into it, but I've done a lot under the sun. But music is definitely, you know, my passion for sure. But that's a big question. I'm gonna have to think about that one for a hot minute.
No doubt. So, with that being said, man, growing up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and so how was that for you? As like, so did you start getting into music as a child, or?
Yeah, so the way I got into music, so I've always loved music. So I was born in Houston. My whole family's from Northeast, from Holmesburg area. My mom and dad were down in Texas for like business reasons, and so I just popped out down there. But they moved back up when I was 2 to Philly, and so I was raised all, you know, in Pennsylvania. And I remember vividly sitting in the backseat of my mom's SUV. You were just telling about your dad. Yeah, I remember my parents playing country music when I was little, and you know, Garth Brooks, George Strait, you know, all the legends. And you know, I lost touch with country once we kind of came back up to Philly. You know, and I was like 2-3 years old. But you know, all the songs that I would hear as a little kid, you know, I forgot about them. And then one day, I heard a song by a band called Diamond Rio, and it was one of these songs that I hadn't heard in 20-some years. And I was like, holy smokes, I forgot how great this thing was. And so I started getting into all the music I listened to as a kid. And I was like, all right, well, maybe I should start playing guitar. So I played a lot of tennis. I'm trying to get back into it. I got to get back into it. But I played a lot of tennis growing up, and on the court one day, I kid you not, there was a blue guitar-shaped paperclip that was next to my tennis bag, and I took it as a sign to start pursuing music. And sure enough, here we are, having once moved to Nashville years later, and so I took that little paperclip as a sign, and so I combined my passion for guitar, started playing guitar then, and lo and behold, learned all those songs I learned when I was a kid, and now here we are in Nashville 25 years later.
Okay. That's great. That's great, man. Remarkable. And
Thank you.
so when your parents and your siblings and your other family members kind of got the wind of you was becoming, a country singer, you playing the guitar, you singing and stuff like that, and they look at one another and be like, where did he get the voice from? Or is there singing in your family overall?
Well, I'll tell you this. So at first I would say I'm the only artist or musician in the family, but my biological mom, my biological grandmother, my mom's mother, who passed away when she was a little girl, she had a fantastic voice apparently. So I think I got it from her. My dad tried to play violin here and there, but he says he's good, but I'll let that slide. But I think I definitely got it from my biological grandmother. I think it must run in the family a little bit if she had it, but so far as I know, I'm really the only one that is actually trying to do something with it. But yeah, so I think I get it from my mom's side.
So when your mother's out and about, maybe church, the grocery store, out shopping, and people kind of recognize that this is your mom, and or when they find out that you're her son, like, what is the reaction? Like, what type of stories do she tell you, that other people say?
Oh man, about me?
Yeah, about you.
Oh man, well, you know what? She called me a couple of weeks ago. She was down the shore, and she was having lunch somewhere. I forget where it was, but anyway, so I put out a song. So we would go down to Wildwood and Stone Harbor my whole life down in Cape May County, and there's this little restaurant. I forget what it was where she was at, but anyway, I wrote a song called Stone Harbor, and so people in the town kind of started sharing it. And, everybody started. This was way before my Eagles song, which I'm sure we'll get into, and the song caught on with a bunch of folks in town. So she was sitting in a booth at a restaurant, and this couple was across from her, and they're like, "Oh my God, yeah, you got to hear this new song, whatever." And she started talking with this couple who was sitting at the booth at the restaurant, and she didn't say that she was my mom, but she's like, "Oh yeah, I heard about that. That's a great song, And they're like, "Yeah, oh my God, this guy's gonna be something someday." And she goes, "Oh, by the way, that's my son." and she's like, they're like, "Oh my God, there's no way that can be." And so it's pretty cool. But people will come up to her, and she's a writer as well. So she's got a little bit of a lot of people from my camp are carrying over to her stuff too. So it's really cool to see that happen.
Oh, did you say she's a writer as well?
She's a songwriter, and she's a poet, and she's a children's book author. So so I get that writing side from her too. So
Okay. So man, we gonna go to a quick commercial break, and you gonna tell us about the snippet of the song I'm about to let them hear, and
All right.
you gonna break down, the writing of it, the emotional part of it, the mental part of it, and how you came up with it.
Awesome. Sounds
All
great.
right, all right, check it out, folks.
This is for the blue collar, working for $1 and his day with an old cold can. This is for the backwood talkers, way out yonder on an old piece of hand-me-down land. This is for the big takers.
All right. All right. So I just thought that was interesting. I was listening today, and I said, man, I'm gonna throw this on the podcast and doing commercial break and whatever, and we gonna let him talk about the song and the writing of it, the emotion part of it, the mental state of it, and how you came up with it. So tell us, about this song right here.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's a new one. That's called Beer Drinkers. That song, I love that thing so much. We wrote that in September last fall, and I wrote that with my buddy Josh Phillips, Jordan Gray, James Talbot, and Nate Jones. It was a 5-way co-writing session here in
Hmm.
Nashville. And so the song isn't out yet. I've been teasing it on socials. It seems like a lot of the fans want me to put it out, but it's a song that celebrates just the working class. It celebrates just life and having a good time, and all the beer drinkers in the world. And so we wrote that one. I was like, man, I got to get a song that gets the crowd going. It's something that speaks for the people in the crowd. So that was the inspiration behind it. Just something fun that celebrates the hardworking class in America. And I'm excited to put that one out, man. That one should be a good one. So
Yeah, it should definitely be a hit. So I thought it was interesting. Just the working class people, the hardworking people that like to get off and fire up the grill on the weekend and drink some beer, drink some whiskey, and just have a good time and the
that's what
feel
life's
good,
about.
yeah, the feel good music that people need because we was trapped in the house with COVID for almost 2.5, 3 years. So people want that feel good music to make them feel energized and feel good about themselves, man. So I can appreciate that.
That's right. I appreciate you asking, man. And you know what? And music too, it's the one language we all understand, right? We all speak different languages. We all believe in different things. But at the end of the day, music is music, and we all get that. And so if I can make songs that, inspire people and make people feel good and relate to, that's all that matters. And I'm doing my job that way. So
Right, 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 right. And I can appreciate that. So you're from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but you're not living in Nashville. So back home, when it comes to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, is there a big country music scene there or no?
well, you know what's hilarious is there is a gigantic Philly country music scene that is untapped. So as a dude from Philly and as a dude, who grew up listening to country and going to concerts my whole life, every time a superstar comes through the town, they sell out, Wells Fargo Center, the Link, or if it's like Kenny Chesney or Luke Burr, whoever it is, they come and they sell out. And it's always been that way. And actually, my first concert I've ever seen was in Camden, which is really basically in New Jersey, and it was Toby Keith. Unfortunately, just passed away. But
R.I.P. to Keith.
I know, man, he was a legend. He was my first concert ever, and so I saw him. Oh my gosh, that must have been like 2003, and it was sold out then. So I think country music resonates with everyone, across the country. But it's interesting in Philly because there's not really local talent who are in Nashville. I have a lot of friends here in town who are from the Northeast that are trying to do it, but there's not many of us from up there. So I kind of see it as a competitive advantage because there's a huge country music market space that a lot of labels and promoters need to start taking advantage of. I saw a Nielsen country radio poll the other day, and it ranked Philadelphia and actually the whole Northeast in top 10 for country radio market share. So and probably because of the population size, but it's a huge music market, and to be an artist that's from up there and to finally give country music fans in that region a voice is pretty special.
What's so special when you say you have these friends that's from the Northeast area and all of y'all in Nashville now? What I think would be so special, man, is if you 4 or 5 guys did a podcast together and just
That's
call
great.
it Country Music Unlimited. You know what I mean? And
Amen. There you
and
go.
just the talks of behind the scene or getting to one point become the country artist where you noticed in Nashville or you just notice nationwide and globally, man, and just have different independent artists on as well as mainstream artists on that's there in Nashville, man. I think that you would be great at that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, you know what's fascinating is what I've noticed is ever since I put that Stone Harbor song out 2 years ago about Jersey Shore. I noticed this wave of country happening among friends and colleagues, and Live Nation has a brand new festival in Atlantic City in Jersey called Tidal Wave, and they've got one in Wildwood called Barefoot Fest. We played last year, so there's finally a larger audience that the industry is noticing. But it's like you said, it'd be cool to get rile up all the guys and girls from the area who are doing country music or music in general, and get them talking. I think that'd be pretty cool because there's a huge audience up there, and they need a voice.
Right. So you guys should definitely work on that, man. For real, for real. And I know they take notice. You guys all sitting in front of mics and y'all really chopping it up, and not just the country music fans, but giving a whole nother target market audience, just around the globe, because music is a universal language. So I
That's
think
right.
that y'all would really do well at that, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. So, all right. So moving to Nashville. When did you decide to move to Nashville?
So I moved to Nashville in August 2019. So I attended college for 2 years in Easton, Pennsylvania, just up in the Lehigh Valley, and was a physics major. And I realized, what the hell am I going to do that for the rest of my life with? And so
Right.
I realized, I was like, well, I can't really make a living out of this. It was more of a hobby and more of something I liked rather than, I didn't really know what I wanted to do at the time, but I was playing music. I was starting to fall in love with music. And so after doing a couple songwriting trips, coming to Nashville for the first time, a couple times, I ended up touring Belmont University here in Nashville, which is a great music business program, and ended up transferring. And so I transferred to Belmont my junior year, graduated 3 years ago with a music business degree. And hands down, that was the best decision in my entire life, to move here and to chase that dream. And I wasn't really happy up in Lafayette College, which is where I was at. They didn't have the understanding of country music, and there was one guy. His name's Tom Kozik. We're still best friends today, and he was my guitar instructor at the time, and he worked at Lafayette. And he's like, Holdyn, you got to go to Nashville and do the thing. And he had lived in Nashville for years as a lead guitarist for Eddie Rabbitt. And
Wow.
he had said, man, you got to go to Nashville and do the thing. So we write a lot. Yeah, man, Eddie Rabbitt, what a legend. And he encouraged me a lot to come down here. And then I ended up moving here in 2019. So I've been here almost 5 years, coming up this August, which is pretty surreal to think
about. Okay. As far as, back home, because you've been on the news a lot, right? Like
yes, sir.
like your home state definitely got their radar on you. They got their eyes on you. And so,
man, it's been such a blessing. As an artist, you can put all the work in on the front end, but you never know how it's going to be received, and just what this Go Bird song has done, my Eagles song, these last couple months. It has been just phenomenal to see how well Philly is loving the song. Like, you can't control that part. You can control all the work you do, but you can't control how people are going to react to it. And to know that, my song can become a piece of the fabric of Philly, is something special. And seeing it, get on the news without even doing anything, just fans and people messaging, reaching out like, oh, we love it so much. It's the coolest feeling, man. And
yeah, that's great, man. And we're gonna get back into that song a little bit later on. So we're gonna talk about an artist that understands the music business, and that's why you chose to take music business and get a degree in it. And so, talk about that process of understanding your craft and understanding the music business and how the music business runs.
Totally. Well, that's a great question. I'm very glad you asked. So I think, for me, like I said, I was a physics major, so if the old school before I moved to Belmont had business, I would have taken that. But everything happens for a reason. But music business, I encourage all my artist friends, songwriters, producers, artists, whoever you are, I feel like for me, the logic behind my decision was to understand, it wasn't a decision if being an artist was something I wanted to do. It's what I need to do, right? It's my calling. But if I had the opportunity to, which I did, fortunate enough to have the opportunity to get an education, I'm like, okay, well, if this is what I want to do, it's very advantageous for me to study, the business side of the industry I'm in. And so that was my motivator. But I had so many questions too. Partly why I wanted to do music business specifically was, I had so many questions that I didn't know as an independent artist that, I taught myself on Google and, YouTube, and but you can only do so much. And so, to hear it from, a professional setting and answer those questions myself as an independent artist from professors or from, folks in the industry here in Nashville, that also was really beneficial. But I'll say that having that background is incredibly important. I'll say the best advice you can give any artist is to get a great lawyer and, to always do your homework and research and, study, the law and study, how things work. And, I didn't know what a mechanical royalty was. I didn't know what PROs were. I didn't know any of that stuff. And, so now, I feel very equipped to handle myself, my own business, which I've been doing. And, we've had some labels and managers come my way, and I've respectfully declined simply because, I know I deserve better and deserve a great team surrounded by me. And because we've been going hard so long, and, I'm ready to take it to the next level. And so, I'm very grateful for this thing right up here that taught me all of that. But yeah, I would say to all the artists listening and all the creatives listening, definitely, learn the business side of music, because, that will save you thousands. It'll encourage you to create art as well. The thing that I found too was, it gave me freedom to create, and it gave me headspace even to brush up online of some, how music business works, because it eliminates fear, it eliminates uncertainty, and how to handle, the business side of it. And you can get so caught up in that, in marketing and press, and, it's a whole world in of itself. But, if you simply know how the rules work and how the law works, it's like, okay, well, I know what I can do, and it gives you comfort in that sense. So, but no, I feel fully equipped, and it was a great path to do, and I'm grateful I did that path.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So, with you having a degree in music business and understanding music, the music business. So, when we was on the phone, you said that you have worked for some marketing firms, some marketing companies.
Yes, sir.
And how was that experience for you, with you being an artist as well, and then you understanding some different things about marketing, whether it's executive marketing, corporate marketing, music marketing, or guerrilla marketing?
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for asking it, dude. I love these questions, man. This is awesome. I love talking about this stuff, because not everybody asks these great questions, man. So this is so great, and I think it's important for people to know. So when I was a student, I hired this entertainment marketing agency in town for my own advertising for my music. After building a rapport with them and working a couple months, Tim Gray, the owner, who I owe most of everything I've learned to, he said, "Hey, man, well, why don't I hire you, and you can gain experience in the festivals and concerts we sell tickets for, and you can learn firsthand and get paid for it instead of outsourcing to me as a client." And so I was like, absolutely. So once I graduated, I started working for him at Grayscale Marketing here in Nashville, which is premier marketing agency. I handled everything from tiny dive bars to the United States biggest country music rodeo in Wyoming, and so we handled multi-million-dollar ad campaigns, and that experience as an artist is so invaluable. To know how to set up your own ads, to know how to message people, how to call to actions, how to add personal touch to fan interactions, how to go above and beyond your competition. It's not a competition, but I always see it that way. To always work hard and to show up, right? All the skills you learn, through those type of things and those experiences are so important. And I learned so much working in that space. I also worked during Belmont. I worked at Big Machine Label Group, which is the world's largest independent label, formerly Taylor Swift's home. And so worked some campaigns there and sat in on some and worked in operations. So that was a great experience to learn that. So I kind of, along my music journey, I was like, okay, how do I pick and choose these different avenues of thought and experience to then, increase my confidence as an artist to do what I want to do? And like, how can I do this to that guy's best ability so I can do it myself? And, so that's kind of been I think I get it from my dad because he was in the Marines. And so he, he has that work ethic. And so I always try to embody that. And, eventually, you build up this understanding and wisdom from all these different things, and you put it all together. And at the end of the day, you find out that the people you work with as an employee are the same people you work with as an artist. Eventually, Nashville's a very small community, at least in country music, and so it's it was a great experience to get all those things, but it was an even greater experience to put all of that knowledge into action with the songs that came shortly thereafter. So.
Okay, cool. So,
sorry to ramble, but I love this stuff.
No, it's good, man. So, as far as your likeness, your imagery, and your awareness, have you got into creating the jingles? Have you got into the modeling or the acting, or is that something that you see forthcoming a little bit later on?
Well, I appreciate you thinking of me in that light. That's very kind of you. But so I did acting in high school a little bit. I did some theater, so I've thought about getting into that. Actually, a good friend of mine, Steve Moon, he lives in Birmingham. He's a film director. And he actually had me in a movie playing myself. They needed a country singer for a dive bar scene in a movie. It's called Out of the Fight. It's out now. It's a great show. So I had a little cameo in that. But I was so excited on set. That was a couple years back, but I would definitely do something like that again. I'm working on a couple jingles for some Philly news stations at the moment. So yeah, there's a lot of great stuff, and I try to stay open-minded to everything. I think one thing that I've learned in my experience so far is to never just assume no. Take yes from everyone, and learn how to seek opportunity and to find opportunity and create opportunity. I think as artists, and I'm guilty of this, we assume, oh, we're too good for this, or oh, I'm too not good enough for this, XYZ. And, the minute we place ourselves in our own boxes, that's when, we limit our capability and our opportunities. And so I always try to maintain the perspective of, if an opportunity comes, try it, see if it fits. And, I really believe that that's why a lot of the songs that I've done so far have had the response they've had.
Okay. So, well, the reason why I said what I said, because in the entertainment business, a music, performing arts, acting, Broadway, modeling as far as imagery, likeness, and stuff like all that coincide together. And once a artist is using all the forms of artistry, then there's no telling where we're gonna see them at. or what show we're gonna see them on, or what stage we're gonna see them on. So that's why I say
Man,
that.
that's so true. And eventually, what I've been learning is as you develop as an artist, your how you present yourself, your branding, everything you do, is so important. But that in turn, that careful detail to attention, creates opportunities as well in other entertainment industry spaces. So it's really neat to observe that.
Right, right. So now the next question: you as an independent artist, and I tell independent artists this all the time, and I talk with them. And I say, man, while you waiting to blow up, there's something that's called sync licensing that you should get into, and you'll be surprised how many independent artists has really made a lot of money from synchronizing their music and music licensing before they even blew up or was on or even charted on billboards or got any BDS reports. So, what did you feel about the music licensing?
Man, well, sync licensing is an incredible opportunity for any artist, and songwriters. I'll put it at that. Songwriters get paid through sync opportunities as well. So I have a few friends who just had meetings with Paramount and Disney, and they're producers, and they, are currently negotiating deals with these larger agencies who are putting this together for them. And so, they're racking in, enough to help their family out. And so, at the end of the day, you don't do it for the money, you do it because you love it. But, it's so cool to see a guy, who you're in class with at Belmont, let's say, who my buddy John and Jordan, they wrote a bunch of Morgan Wallen's newest hits. Who's like, biggest, my buddy John wrote Last Night, big hit going on there. And, he has so many opportunities that's happening. My friend Jordan over at Big Loud, he's Australian. Guy. He's got a lot going on. My friend James. So sync licensing is so important. But I will say, if those opportunities come across, definitely consider taking them. For artists listening to this.
Oh, they coming, bro. They coming. I've been listening. I've been listening to your YouTube today. They coming for you. That's why I asked you that. That's why I asked you that, man.
Thank you. I sure hope so. Hey, if anybody watching this has a movie or something going on, you know how to get a hold of them.
well. The reason why I say that, I watch a show called The Last Alaskans Below Zero, Homestead, and I just hear the kind of music in the background and stuff like that, and then there's a lot of screaming channels, man, like like Elementary and like FBI, like it's a lot of music license opportunities out there. So I tell people all the time, sometimes you just might want to hire a sync licensed agent, or
Yeah.
if you have that attorney, that you work closely with, the entertainment attorney, you tell them what you want as far as, with the sync licensing, tell them that this is something that you want to get into and you want to keep it reoccurring. And so, when
Absolutely.
you have a great entertainment attorney, then that artist and that entertainment attorney can work hand to hand. And so,
Absolutely.
you know what
And
I
you
mean?
know what? It's funny too. It's people in your corner, they may know people in their corner, and the more chance you can collaborate and open your mouth and get vocal. I always say, play offense, don't play defense. And the more you vouch for yourself, the more opportunities will come. And so that absolutely, you're 1,000% correct. And there's another thing too. There's a lot of great third party sync agencies out there. That I don't think they have a bunch of barrier to entries, but they're great for sync too. So yeah, there's so many options. But yeah, I sure hope that my music gets played someday. That would be nice.
Right, right. And then there's another thing, whether you with CSAC, BMI, or ASCAP, ASCAP. So you also, like a songwriter like yourself, that may have tons of songs written and you haven't recorded all of them, or you might want to record them and use them for a reference track. And so even if you put on your BMI or your ASCAP or your CSAC song for hire. You got companies overseas that will pay you hundreds of $1,000s for those songs. You know what I mean? And the song can just be laying there. And so that's something else I tell artists, man, work your BMI, your ASCAP or your CSAC, work it through and through. Work
Yeah.
it through and through.
Yeah, totally. It's those agencies are great. They all do the same thing, but which is another topic. It's like all the other countries in the world have one agency that does it all, but the U.S. happens to have four. But it's like it's whatever. But
Right.
songwriters. If we're talking about songwriters, I always encourage my friends and colleagues to say, hey, plug your stuff all the time. Get it up. I find it, unless you're releasing a song, I try to catalog it all independently until it's ready to go up on BMI. But then I'm with BMI, but then I'll get it up there. But songwriters only get paid three ways. So performance royalties, mechanicals, and sync, right? And it's like. And that's as writers, but it's like, what you're saying is so true. It's like, making sure all those things are checked and doing it. It's so important because that's where you're going to make your income and that's where you're going to make a living. And, so always seeking opportunities to maximize that content and to exploit your copyright is so important.
But it is, a lot of artists don't have what we call a music administrator. And these are administrators that only work on your music from behind the scenes. Don't nobody even know they're working for you. But, I was talking to one and she's pretty music driven. Her name is Gigi Miller. And she always says, man, that each artist should be getting at least 16 royalty checks every quarter.
Yeah.
And so a lot of artists don't really understand that it's a lot of independent artists are just doing music full time, and you might not see them at Mercedes-Benz Arena or anything like that, but when you're an independent artist and you making $60,000-$70,000 every quarter off your music, I think you're doing pretty well. You know what I mean?
That's for damn sure. I know very few independent artists that are doing that, but a good colleague of mine always says he goes, how many fans you have, and let's say you have 100 fans, just 100, right? Or sorry, let's say 1,000 fans, true fans, right? And here's a really crazy concept I always think about. Let's say they buy and value $100 of your stuff every year as an artist. Let's say there's a $25 t-shirt, $25 in music sales, let's say $25 ticket and $25 in additive fan stuff. So let's say each fan gives you like $100 in value, right? Well, if you have 1,000 of them, that's $100,000 of value, right? And a lot of times I'll see artists or colleagues of mine say, oh man, I need more fans. And yes, we all do, but grow where you're at right now, grow where you are. Because, if you have 10,000 people who are following you, I mean, that's 10,000 people you can go back and message and say, hey, Susie, thanks so much for all the love. Here's a link to my newest song. Here's a link for a discount on my store, blah, blah, blah. Right. And it's like, it's always taking opportunities and making them even bigger. But yeah, you're so correct. It's, I wish more artists, and you touched on this. I wish more artists, had the understanding of all the royalties they could be collecting too, because there's stuff out there. I found out that, there's almost a couple $1,000s of royalties that were collected for me, but I never claimed. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, so I can't imagine artists who stream way more than I do, that aren't collecting certain royalties simply because they're not aware of it. And it's, there's a lot of education, that I think needs to be clarified for independent artists. And I wish that, I'm grateful I have the knowledge that I do, but, before I experience these things, I wish that there was an easier format, and I can understand, why it's so confusing for people who aren't involved in the industry directly. It's crazy. It's like, it's like you Google search what's the mechanical royalty and 30 things pop up and they're all wrong. It's like, so it's, I agree with you, man. There needs to be something for independent artists to learn and to take advantage to collect what they deserve.
Right. And then, I tell independent artists all the time, man, being into this music business is like going back to school to getting your undergrad, getting your master's, and getting your doctorate degree. Like you never stop learning. It's
right.
always something new. It's always transitioning to something new. And then I tell artists all the time, even your lyric videos on YouTube, that's a royalty check. Even when you go do an open mic, make sure that venue is registered with BMI ASCAP so you can get your performance right check. So
That's
it's so many different ways that they can collect, and they can put some more money behind their marketing because because you can pay for your royalties. So what I
That's
mean.
right.
So
And it kind of funds itself. It feeds itself.
right, right. So what's interesting to me is this right here. I tell indie artists, if you want people to take you seriously, and you have a manager that's been a manager or a PR firm or a marketing executive, or a music administrator that's been in this music business for a while, 10, 15, 20 years, when they ask you, can you send me a copy of your BDS pins? And when you can't, they don't mean they don't want to work with you. That means you got to go back to the drawing board. And if you allow them to help you, they will help you. But you have to listen. You know what I mean? You have to listen and learn. Cause a lot of artists don't know. They're not they're not familiar with sound exchange. They're not familiar with digital radio tracker. They're not familiar with BDS reports. They not familiar. And so, what would you say to an indie artist, about this type of conversation that we're having this evening?
Absolutely. Well, dude, I am so happy to be in this conversation. I never get to talk about this stuff, so this is great. Thank you for asking me. This is awesome. I would say yes. Always do your research. I would say always. I take everything with a grain of salt. I always try to take in like 10, 15 different sources of the same thing, and then compile it for myself to make to make an assumption about something. There's so many folks that can help you in the industry, and there's so many folks that that can't help you in the industry. And it's important to distinguish, who is who. Always look at the artists that folks work with. Always look at the track record. An independent label can come to you and say, hey, we want to sign you, distribute your song. You keep 85% of the royalty, but we'll take gross income. But then again, you just signed away your gross income. You signed away, your distribution, your copy, sound recording, master rights, right? And they screw you over in perpetuity, perhaps. That's an option. You don't want that to happen, right? And so, they may have worked with the biggest artists in the entire world, but at the end of the day, you have to own your copyright. You have to own yourself, and not to be gullible. If you're good, I'll say the biggest thing that I've learned too, and this is me living in the moment right now based on personal experience. You have to truly believe in yourself, in your talent, in your skill, and what you know, and never let anybody tell you can't do it. Number one, but number two, if somebody comes for help or somebody comes to want to support you in your career, hold them just as liable as they're holding you liable for what they want to do, right? And so at the end of the day, you're going to fight for yourself harder than anybody else. And, trust, and always in the back of your head, always think, is this really something that I can do? Is this worthwhile? And if it smells like, fish, looks like a fish, it might be a fish. But if it's not an immediate yes, then think twice. But I always I always maintain a positive attitude. If you can't tell, I'm always smiling all the time. But
Right, right, right,
I
right, right. Of
try to
course,
see
of course.
the beauty and the positivity in everyone. It's the music business. When you find the right people who can push you, it's a beautiful thing, and magic happens. That's what music is. And those people are out there. But there's also I can't stress how important it is to own your stuff and to not become gullible to agencies and people who may have a name, and you might chase a name, but at the end of the day they just have themselves at their best interest. And it's a shame to see that happen and ruin someone's career. I've seen it firsthand with friends. It's important to be on top of that, for sure. That's the advice I would give. In answer to your question, that's what I would suggest to any artist watching this.
Okay, okay. I can dig it. I can dig it. So now we gonna go to this your song, Go Bird. And we're gonna go to the making of it, how you came up with it, and the excitement of it, with the fan base, with the natives of Philadelphia, with people who are around the sports world, people who on the news channels. It's been a really big talking excitement. I peeked in at your social media, so it's been a lot of talk about Go Birds. So, tell us about the song Go Birds.
Yeah, well, thanks for asking, man. And so Go Birds it's basically a love song about a Dallas Cowboys fan who falls in love with an Eagles fan, but she never goes back to Texas. So she falls in love with you, the Eagles fan, and she loves Philly so much. She's like, "Now, see you later, Cowboys. I'm with my Eagles fan now," and that's the whole plot line. Now, so I started. I was like, okay, fast backtrack 2 years when I did my Jersey Stone Harbor song. It kind of got some local traction down at the Jersey Shore, and I was like, all right, well, how do I lean into who I am? Another thing, as I'm sure you tell your clients, like, leaning into who you are and being authentic, right? And
Right.
being yourself is so important. And so I'm like, okay, well, I can't fake that I hunt, right? I can't fake that I, do all these cool country things, right? I grew up in Philly, right? So we don't hunt in Finney. Maybe in the Poconos or something. But, I grew up fishing. I grew up, being outdoors, right? And so I grew up an Eagles fan. So I'm like, how do I be who I am, but still write a great country song about something that I love and all my people love? And I was like, of course I'm going to write a country song about the Cowboys.
So hold on, back up now. We gonna say this now. Now you have other rivalries like the Giants and the Commanders, and
That's right.
I'm just gonna say that the Giants and the Commanders would fit the song because who don't want to talk about the Cowboys? Who don't like I'm a Cowboys fan through and through, but I can't even walk nowhere. Man, you need to take their hat off. I was like, man, go ahead, man. Do yourself a favor and have a cup of coffee, man. Just leave my Cowboys alone. Like
Yeah.
it's like it's like I already know what's gonna happen. What I mean? It's gonna be somebody to say something. So when you said Go Birds and you had the cowgirl in there and she ain't gonna never want to go back to Dallas again, I was like, here we go again. Here we go again. But the song's pretty hot though, for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, I wrote it with my mom and my friend Tyler. I wrote most of it actually in September last year, and I didn't have it finished until December. And I was like, well, if I'm going to do this thing, I need to do this quick. Or I do it in the fall. But I'm like, all right, well, if I get it out quick enough, I can ride a little bit of the wave of the playoffs and hope that they keep going. Obviously, they didn't, but it was so cool. At the end of the day, the song is the thing that is so special. I'm just the guy who wrote it and can sing it, but the song itself, as an artist, to witness something you create have an impact that big on a city and on a fan base is just unbelievable. You see it with with sports when, I'm sure Dallas is one of those cities too, where, if the fans are behind the players, the teams come to life, right?
Right.
And whenever the fans are in a slump or the players are in a slump, it's the worst field day in the whole world. Everyone's depressed, right? But when you're flying high, and everybody's on the same wavelength. And Philly's that kind of city. I'm sure you know that. And, whenever, teams are hot, the city's hot. And when the city's hot, they kind of go hand in hand. And so
Right.
I was like, all right, well, if we want to get to the playoffs, if we want to have something go on, I was like, well, as a fan, this is my little attempt at making the Super Bowl happen. Obviously, it didn't happen, but I think it was a great way to rile up the fans, to get players excited, get the team excited. I know a lot of fans and players, staff members reached out to me. I know Jason Kelsey heard the song, so it was really cool to see how many folks the song resonated with. But if you notice, next to the title, there's an acoustic. It says acoustic. And that's because it's the acoustic version. I have a full version that I haven't teased at all that I'm going to drop in the fall. And that one is going to be even bigger. And hopefully because I'm doing it at the beginning of the season, we'll have some good luck for the team coming playoff next year.
I can dig it. I can dig it. So man, the song is doing phenomenal, man, and people are still catching on, and people are still talking about the song, man. So that's great, man. And maybe you can get some type of endorsement or sponsorship from the Philadelphia Eagles. For real.
That would be pretty cool. I won't say it won't be cool. That would be pretty
cool. So let me ask you a question, man. You currently have your own entertainment lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So the reason why I asked that, it's always the reason. So the reason why I asked that, with that Go Bird song, he or she should be the one who would bridge the gap to really, get you some of that sponsorship or some of that endorsement money, man.
Absolutely. I have direct contact with the team themselves, so that's always great too. And but it's great how an entertainment attorney can certainly open doors. And I'll say too, for artists and for songwriters, whoever you are, creative in the industry, having an entertainment attorney by your side, is your strongest asset, because that person should open doors for you, but we'll protect you and we'll fight for you. And it's so crucial to have a proper legal representation.
You're right. Absolutely. So before we get out of here, man, we're gonna talk about one last thing that I tell artists and I push artists to understand, that you need a publicist. Branding, marketing, public relations. I say if you look at some of the bigger artists, a lot of them get off their raw talent, but their brand exceeds to the next level with great publicity and public relations. So if you can chime in on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think there's two moments when publicity is the most important. It's when you're first starting your career and you need to build, let's say you're a no-name, you've never dropped music, you're fresh, brand new off the skillet. I'm talking like no songs out, like brand new. That will help build. I always look at publicity, in working with the couple PR firms I've worked with, where I found the best benefit of PR is at that stage of my career. And, all the publicity that I'm getting now is completely organic, but it wasn't without the first press that I, partnered with some agencies on, that press couldn't have happened organically. So it's so important. You're right. It's so important to hire publicists at the beginning of your career, and then that will carry you through, the rest of whatever you got fun stuff going on, and hopefully to a point to where the press becomes organic, where you're like Taylor Swift and you can't help but get off, Fox News. But it's, it becomes a symbiotic relationship where, you now are creating press opportunities,
Hmm.
which can then give you leverage to create more and bigger opportunities than those. So it kind of feeds itself, and where a great press agency comes in, PR agency comes in, is being able to say, okay, here's what you've done. Let's now take all these great things and get you and your brand on a larger credibility scale, with these outlets. And so the one thing I've noticed too is, as an artist, I'm speaking from personal experience, is at least in country music, for country press, if it's not a music video airing on TV or a billboard, hard organic advertising, most press fans don't even see. They're looking at socials, right? And so what it really does, I say, from my experience, and it's probably different in all genres, press, at least in country music, I'd say it's great for brand reputability, and that's the biggest thing that I've gotten out of it. But that's such a necessary component, and you need to have press, at least have an agency and start to create those doorways, right, and create that brand reputability. And when you start getting, outlets like news stations and radio stations and regional things around you starting to come to you, then you say, okay, well, how can I now take this exposure and put it on a real true platform where, that could be national exposure, like, a Fox News or a CNN or the New York Times or something like that scale. So in answer to your question, I know I love this stuff, so I ramble all the time.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine, man. It's fine, man. It's great. It's great, actually, man, because you don't get a lot of artists to open up like that, and with you being on the other side of working for a major marketing firm before, so it's certain things that you can say to elaborate on that you worked in that field. So it's great.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so good. And I'd say, higher publicity, if you truly have something going on, the worst case is when, two great people partner up and the artist doesn't have buzz going on that the PR agency can't work with, right? And it's like, it kind of has to be symbiotic, right? And the artist has to be that stuff, and then the press has to be ready, but none of those two things can truly blow out of proportion unless the artist already has something going on. And so, I've been guilty of, spending many dollars on press that, ended up helping a little bit, but, it was actually one specific agency I worked with at the very beginning of my career that actually got me some buzz to then go, okay, I can reach out to a couple of folks now on cold emails and say, hey, this is my brand, this is where I've been placed, and then create more opportunities for myself. And eventually you inch along and you're like, okay, now it's time for bigger outlets and bigger brand exposure. But none of those things can happen unless you have the brand. And that's where a publicist comes in handy too. It's tightening up your brand and who you are and your image. And, but yeah, that's great, man. It's so important to have a publicist.
Yeah, so and I appreciate you saying that, but you are artists that really pays attention that, when you have another publicist, that you and that publicist work hand in hand. It's like a strategic marketing strategy to take over the world. And so
That's right.
it's like working, and I tell people, management, PR, and the artists got to work with hand in hand. All of y'all need to be on a business conference call at least twice a week.
That's right. That's right. And that's always the mentality, is how do you take over the world, right? And I only want to surround myself with people that have that same thing. I've gotten rid of band members, I've gotten rid of publicists, I've gotten rid of managers, I've gotten rid of marketing agents. That anybody who, if I'm not the hardest working person in the room, I expect greatness out of my team, and if I can do it, I know they sure as hell can. And it's it's a greatness expectation, and always shooting for the stars. And like I said, I get it from my parents, but it's as an artist, it's so important to have that brand and, to really believe in yourself. I think the biggest takeaway, I guess, tonight in talking about all this is, believing in yourself. And when the time is right too, the timing will happen when it's meant to. It can be easy to get caught up in all of it, and just marketing and press alone is a crazy thought that gets complicated. And at the end of the day, it's simple. And I always think of it this way: it's like, be a good person, have great music, and connect with people. And if you can do those things and truly be true to you, authentic to you, then the press, the right press team, the right marketing team, the right label, the right publisher, whoever it is, will come your way. But it's being true to yourself, I think, is the most important thing. And so I'm sorry to ramble. I love this stuff, man.
You good. You good. It's good. It's good, man. It's good. It's good, man. I'm grateful that we can really chop it up and really talk about what matters in entertainment business, man. So, I'm grateful, man. So
I never get to talk about this, so it's great to chat with you about this. It's another muscle in my brain that I rarely get to chat with. So I appreciate you asking those questions, man. I had so much fun doing this.
Okay. So, are there any shout outs that you would like to give before we get out of here?
Oh, well, I'd love to give a shout out to Chris for setting us up and for putting this together, and all the Philly fans out there. I know you're a Dallas fan, but I gotta give credit to Dallas fans too. They're sticking up for themselves in my Instagram comments. So it's I got to shout out to some Dallas fans for showing some love on the song. Also, even though there's some friendly rivalry, not so friendly sometimes.
Yeah. Of course.
They'll still message me, and they'll be like, "Hey, man, I hate the Eagles, but I love your song." And so, shout out to Dallas for showing some love, and Philly for always being there. And I'm hoping that my little dose of music will inspire the team, and maybe have something happen in the playoffs. Some fan told me, they said, "Hey, man, if you drop this thing in the fall, the full version, and they do well and they make it all the way, Philly's gonna love you for life."
Okay. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, bro. Yeah. Cause you embracing them as well as they gonna embrace your song
It's
and embrace your
superstition
brand.
thing,
So,
man.
that's good. That's good, man. That's real good, man.
I appreciate you taking the time out of your night to chat, Jake. This meant a lot.
Yeah, man. So shout out to the Philly podcast, man. Shout out to my sponsor, Exquisite PR firm. And shout out to the Village Global Network. And man, shout out to all the people that's striving to do better in life and keep going, keep pushing, man, because greatness is just around the corner. So as long as you believe in yourself, then others will too.
That's right. Amen, bro. Nothing perfectly better said.
Yes, sir. So take care, man, and we'll be rapping and talking about some things, man. So until next time, man, take care of yourself and be safe out there.
Thank you. Likewise. You have a great night.
You too.